So, remember when I said that my paranoia was making me go through this entire dungeon again in case I missed anything? Well, on floor number 5, we can see at the very end of the hall over there, you might spot something very peculiar. Well, at the end, is an unopened chest! A chest that I passed by not once, but twice. It's on the other side of these rings that show where the crystal is in this room to move the walls when you're going up here the first time. And somehow I passed by this once in my initial ascension, and again when I was commanding that statue back to its original spot. And wouldn't you know it, this very chest contains the compass that I was looking for. So for the second time ever in my history of this game, I got the compass way later than I was intended to. Man, my history with compasses in this game are just not gonna turn out very well, aren't they? Ah, you know, I really didn't think that would happen to me a second time in my life. I really thought that would only happen just the one occasion, but it turns out that I'm way more oblivious than I thought I really was. So if we check the map really quickly, we can find on floor 7, floor 5, and that's about it by the looks of things. Yep, on 5 and 7. We'll get the first one here very quickly and then go to 7 afterwards. Greetings all, it's Blue Knight and welcome back to the Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess. Previously, we used the Dominion Rod to commandeer a statue, the other statue that was missing from the first floor, back to its original spot. While having a lot of fun being mad and destructive with power all the while. Today, we're gonna collect the rest of these chests I missed out on before we head back to the first floor and investigate the new opening that did open up when we got the statue back in its original place. That's not what I'm supposed to be. And there's a reason why I sound a little dejected. Well, it's that this video is actually a re-recording of this specific episode. Because when I was trying to move the audio from my commentary into its editing file, so to speak, I accidentally deleted it. Which means I lost a pretty humorous take on this part of the Temple of Time. Because I had a history before where I lost the data file for my commentary that I was trying to make sure that didn't happen again, and it turns out I ended up repeating that mistake in an entirely different way. Go me. So I kinda know what to expect from here on out, but man, I can't believe I did that. That I somehow lost the commentary to my own episode just mere minutes after I finished recording that take. Also, that actually happened the last episode. One of the spikes freaked out when it was being blocked by this pot. So I guess that's one thing that repeated from last time. I could just call it a night and just do this again later, but I just know no matter what I do from here on out, is that it's never gonna match the original take, so I'm just gonna roll with it and see if something else comes out of this. Because I actually did find this chest last in my original take. Well, that's gonna hit me. That's gonna hit me! Nope, safe. Just barely. Oh, let's come back around again, though. Oof, close call. Put that down gently. Nope, not that. Not there. Not here. So I knew in the original take that I was gonna get this chest later in this room. I'm pretty sure there were Armos when we were here last time that we had to fight off, and now it's being infested by Gomas. Of both varieties. So we're gonna deal with these guys really quickly because I just feel like it. I gotta get some aggression out. Just from learning that I missed out on the compass again in this game. For the second time. It happened once during my routing playthrough. I believe this was back at the Forest Temple when that happened. I was just so livid, and it happened again on the actual Let's Play of this game. I'm so mad that happened to me twice. I really thought that would be something that would occur once in my life, and yet I was somehow able to find a way to make it happen again. That's why I'm taking my time exterminating all of these insects. And then what we have to do... Well, this isn't, I was gonna say necessary, it actually is necessary. But something you probably want to think of to do at first. And this kind of thing actually happened in the old recording too. Where I was trying to toss this pot over onto that little narrow way. But I end up falling off the ledge right as I made like throw. It happened multiple times actually. Just somehow, no matter what, I'm convinced that I'm not gonna be having a bright future as a basketball player. Not that I have any athletic ability to begin with. But that's neither here nor there. What we have to do is use the Dominion Rod to make these pots go onto those switches up top. And that spawns a chest in this room. I knew going into this place that we weren't gonna miss a chest here because even though if we had everything set up, we just wouldn't have the Dominion Rod that's needed to get this piece of heart. So I knew I was gonna miss out at least one chest on the initial ascension up this place. But the remaining chests... Oh, that's an entirely different story, let me tell you something. If you've been keeping track of the items we've been collecting up until this point, you may have noticed that there's one specific item that we've got in every other dungeon up until now that we have yet to get our hands on. And it just so happens to reside in the room that we're going to right now. And you heard me right. I said room because in one of the rooms that we found one of the Poes, I somehow had my focus on the Poe, but I neglected to see the big double dark doors that were right next to it. How did I not see this the first time around? I don't know. I think I was just so mad with power with the statue at the time that I completely neglected to see those doors, or at least that door rather. It was one door, not two. It looks like two doors to me for some reason. Maybe I'm just getting tired at this point. I don't know what's going on. But either way, I somehow did not see that when I was going through this place on my original take. Or at least the original ascension through it. Not just the scrap take, but the entire playthrough of this dungeon up until now. Don't ask how I didn't see it. The fact is, I didn't see it. So, apparently my history with doors does not stop at Paper Mario when I was a kid. It still extends to today, where I apparently still have troubles with doors in video games. You know, there's so many important rivalries and feuds that you'll probably hear over your lifetime, like Batman versus the Joker, Superman versus his Rogues Gallery, Mario and Bowser, Sonic and Eggman. Me indoors, that's probably one thing, or one feud you probably wouldn't even hear about. A person versus a door, or an object, because they don't know how to interact with those in video games sometimes, for whatever reason. It's just really dumb how I've had this kind of history with an inanimate object of all things. Something that we use in our everyday lives. Yet, I somehow find new ways to have troubles with those in video games. I was really hoping it would stop at Paper Mario, but nope, it's somehow a burden, I guess, that continues to haunt me. It might just happen again sometime down the line. I don't know when, I don't know how, but it's probably gonna happen. So this had me stumped for a while in the original take, but I did figure it out eventually. We have to use the 3 pots here, one on that ledge above us, right over there, and use one of the Helmosaurus' shells to open the gates to the big chest. There's also a red rupee there that we can get as well. And this was the item I was alluded to earlier. Somehow, I neglected the very room, the one time that I did completely neglect to see a door that had the big key in it. Again, how in the world did I neglect the one room that would have the very item that you would need to get to the boss's lair? Like, who does that? Who's ignores something that important? Apparently I do. Well, that's just rude. Ah, clown face. At least I'll always have you to rely on if I ever need a chuckle. Seriously, how in the world did you decide this part of the dungeon on the map to look like a clown face? It's really humorous when it really shouldn't be. Maybe this shows that the sages had a sense of humor that we mortals just don't understand. That's probably it. Could be left by them, for all we know. We also saw on the map here that the first floor happens to be the one where the boss of this dungeon lies. I'm gonna switch over to that momentarily. We've got some amiibos in this room, or this hallway, that leads to the big door. And we got a lot of traps here too. They're bringing out all the traps at this point. Pendulum blades, wood spikes, and the amiibos, which in the original recording, I passed by those the first time without even noticing those could be a threat. It was a very, very stupid moment on my part. I was also able to catch one of those amiibos' eyes just as they were gonna turn around too, like on the very edge of it. It was an impressive shot. I wish I could have kept around. What we have to do here. This also stuck me for a bit at first. Gotta throw that over there. And then move the pot over to the switch over there, which I also didn't see at first. There are a bunch of pots here, so you can just choose one for the run to the litter, or from the litter rather, and just use it. You know, in some small way, this kind of resembles Link, or not Link, a superhero, a lazy superhero at home, using their superpowers to get the TV remote from across the room, because they're too lazy to walk across that room and get it themselves. That's what that little moment with Link and the steel pot kind of reminded me of. But then again, Link has a claw shot as well, so he can kind of do that 2 ways. Also want to get this out. I have 1 ball left over. I only did use 1 when I was going through that sledding fiasco back at Snow Peak. So I have 1 free to catch a fairy inside it. Might as well use for something at this rate. No point in letting that take up space. But at least we're close to the big door. Only 4 episodes it took to complete the Temple of Time. Like I said, it's not that hard to go through, or that tough to figure out. And now we meet the Twilight Arachnid, Armogohma. So how this fight goes, gotta keep an eye on it. You know, it kind of figures that we're just rehashing a lot of things from Ocarina of Time. Of course they have to bring back the first boss to find that game in some way too. Kinda surprised they didn't do this for the Forest Temple, kind of think of it. Because isn't that like one of the dungeons that you do find, or the first one you do find in Ocarina of Time? Or no, wait, that's the Great Deku Tree I'm thinking of. But regardless, it's just kind of like reminiscent of the first boss from Ocarina of Time. And you just saw how to deal with it just now. Wait for it to fire its laser by shooting its laser eye at us. Shoot the eye, and it will land in one of the 4 statues, or at least near it. Take control of the statue, and then smush it. In second phase, it's gonna give birth to a bunch of Goma eggs, which is very gross if you ask me. Then again, not a big fan of insects. I mean, you can leave me alone, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna feel any easier in seeing them move around. Like I said before, just seeing things, tiny things crawl with tiny legs and a huge amount of legs, just really disgusts me for whatever reason. I don't know why. Always has, and probably always will. So just take care of the Goma larvae. The Goma larvae, whatever Armogohma does give birth to them, they do give 1 heart. Oh, stepped on me. I didn't think that could happen. They do give 1 heart and 1 arrow each, so they're not entirely pointless. They can be a resource for ammo and health if you need some. I'm pretty sure you can squish the Armogohma whenever it's trying to crawl back up to the ceiling as well, if you're fast enough and it happens to be near one of the statues too. I'm pretty sure that's possible. But if you want to get it squashed by a statue for like complete accuracy, then the original method is the way to deal with it. And now we see Armogohma's true form. It's just another baby spider with a really big eye for an ass. That's pretty much what it is. You can deal with this thing in a multitude of ways. Arrows, bombs, sword slashes. Even the spinner can work wonders against it. Or you can squish it with one of the statues. That is if you're able to lure it towards said statue. I couldn't get it to work in the original take, but I'm gonna try this time to make it work here. Just gotta wait for it to come to me. That's probably gonna be the only way it can work. Because if you go too far enough for one of these statues, then the ball of life that comes from the Dominion Rod will go back to said rod. So you do have a boundary limit to how far you can go before that happens. Yeah, got to work this time. Flatten it like a pancake. Took a little bit of patience, and I had to maneuver it pretty weirdly, but I was able to get it to work this time, so I'm happy about that. Three of the mirror shards are ours. Just one left. Link, you saw how nasty that monster was, right? The evil within the shards is more powerful than you can imagine. You know, we could be assembling something truly terrible here. It could be something that we'll ultimately have to destroy. We have to hurry. Let's find the last shard, Link. We have to reach the sky. That's where the last shard is supposed to be. Just let me get my rewards really quickly from smushing that herd. Well, at least what was left of it. And get another heart container. Which now brings us up to 16 hearts in total. And that brings us to the end of the Temple of Time. After we collect a few more things, there's a couple of statues at the door that we took to get to this time period in the first place that holds some goodies. The left one first, because that one has the less valuable of the two. This one has a chest that we're approaching. Like that. And the other statue is gonna contain a Poe. I'm saying this in advance because I want to go over just how the Armogohma fight was, and some stuff I found out about it. In the final version, it is really easy, pretty pathetic if you ask me, to fight. But there could have been more to it. I found an old GDC video that dated back to 2005 that there was a chase scene that probably could have been implemented into the boss fight. I'm not sure if that was the intention or not, because it could have been used for like demo purposes, or promoting the game in trailers in like trade shows. So we can't consider that it was probably never gonna be used in the final game at all. But at least it would have been something to add on to the fight, because the fight itself in the final version didn't end up being that impressive. But if you ask me, it's pretty cathartic for those who don't like spiders. So, from the way I see it, it is kind of cool in that regard, especially that ending bit. You can see that there's some carvings up there too. Probably more of the sages. Didn't recognize that before either. That's pretty cool detail overall though. I also found out there was a beta that was removed that included the old Goma fight. And there was also an old version of the Temple of Time that Link was shown going through a lot of it. So this place in particular went through some changes as well. But that's saying a lot considering that this whole game's development cycle went through a lot of changes. But after collecting those things, We're finally done with the Temple of Time completely now. We got everything that there is to get in it, and the dungeon that comes along with it. So we have no more reason to hang out here, now that we have the Dominion Rod in our possession. So next time, we're going to go back to our own time period, the present, and continue to fix things there, now that we have a piece of the past in our hands. Until we meet again, farewell for now.